Hi viewers, in this class we are going to discuss the pheromones or ectohormones. Under this we will see the introduction to the topic, definition of pheromones, types of pheromones and functions of pheromones. Finally the recent research in regard to the pheromones. Let us start with the introduction. Human behaviors are influenced by invisible smell signals like all other animals. The ancient Greeks knew that secretions from a female dog in heat means here it is a estrous cycle, were attractive to male dogs. Charles Butler was a scientist. He wrote a book named The Feminine Monarchy. According to him, injured bees they produce a ranke smell that would attract other angry bees to sting. Joseph Lintner he observed in an office window of about 50 wild male moths attracted to a virgin female moth. 50 wild male moths attracted to a virgin female moth. Later on, Adolphe Butenandt identified chemical nature of pheromones. He was also awarded a Nobel Prize in the year 1939. Pheromones found in almost all kinds of organisms. Pheromones are used to find out the mate. Pheromones produced by mother rabbits that prompts the suckling by their pups. In many social insects, every part of colony behavior is mediated by pheromones. For example, signal from a queen affects the reproduction of workers, and the ranke smell alarm pheromone activates colony defense against enemies. See the definition of pheromones. Pheromones to bear, and whereas a hormone it is impetus in Greek language. Pheromones are chemicals that are released by organisms as a means of communication with organisms of same species. They are released through skin, urine, and feces. They are detected using the smell. Pheromones are used for readiness to mate, an alert to danger, showing a certain territory. Pheromone act outside the body so that known as ectohormones. They bring impact on behavior of the receiving animal. Use of pheromones among insects is well documented when compared to the other animals. Let us see some examples of the pheromones. Ants find out their way by releaser pheromones, whereas alarm pheromones alert the ants when they are in danger. Pheromone serves as attractant for one of the sexes. Pheromones serves as the attractant for one of the sexes. Following emergence from the cocoon, the female Cecropia moths crawl a short distance away and broadcast a pheromone early in the morning that serves as an attractant for flying males. Males have olfactory receptors on their antenna and they fly upwind and orient themselves to equalize the signals received by the two antennae. In this way, they can locate a virgin female from several miles away. This is the Cecropia moth. Usually, female pheromones they serve as the sex attractants, whereas the male pheromones they serve as the aphrodisiacs. For example, if you see the mantispits, mantispits are the small predaceous insects. They look like they resemble praying mantids. Courtship behavior is elaborated because of the male must convince the female that he is a potential mate rather than an easy meal. The male produces a sweet musk-like substance from his abdomen that helps to appease the female and reduce her predatory instincts. Pheromones may be involved in the mating when the organisms do not actually meet each other. For example, if you observe the many marine creatures such as the sea urchins and oysters, they release eggs and sperm in the water in a process called as the spawning. Pheromones in these secretions will induce other members of the same species to simultaneously release their eggs or sperm, thereby increasing the likelihood that the external fertilization will occur in the organisms, those which are going for the external fertilization where there is no ability of the internal fertilization. And in some of the cases, ants, after finding the food resource, they release secretions from their Duffer's glands by touching their abdomen to the ground as they return to the colony. The foragers leaving the colony can follow the pheromone trail back to the food source. So remaining ants follow that route to reach the food source or food. Pheromones can be decoded by another species and used against the animal that normally responds to it. The best example is the bola spider. The bola spider twists a silken thread tipped with a glob of sticky silk that it throws at insect prey to entrap them. The strand is coated with the same pheromone produced by the certain female moths to attract males of their own species. When the amorous moths fly to the spider expecting to mate, they are instead captured and eaten by the spider. The first pheromone, bombicol, was identified in 1953. Bombicol secreted by female moth, which is designed to attract the males. The pheromones can travel enormous distances even at a low concentrations. Pheromone system of insects is much easier to understand than that of mammals. Pheromones commonly used as insecticides. They used as a bait to attract the males into a trap and prevent them from mating. Thereby, they can reduce the population of the insects so that they are working like a insecticide. So this is the bombicol moth, and this is the structure of bombicol pheromone. 10, 12 hexadecadiene 1-all. Usually, pheromones induce activity in other individuals such as sexual arousal. The McClintock effect that refers to women's menstrual cycles combining perhaps in response to pheromones. Some chemicals have been investigated for pheromone actions in humans, but the evidence is weak. Virtually all insects use pheromones to communicate. Online purchased pheromone products are comparatively ineffective to the natural products, and Gustav Jaeger was the first to propose the idea of pheromones. He used to call them as the anthropines. He called them as the anthropines. And coming to the types of pheromones, there are six principal kinds of pheromones are there, namely releaser pheromones, primer pheromones, signal pheromones, alarm pheromones, trail pheromones, and the modulator pheromones. Let us see one by one. Releaser pheromones. Releaser pheromones, they elicit an immediate response, and the response is rapid and reliable. They are usually linked to sexual attraction. Many mammals release pheromones that signal to others that they are in their territory. This is usually found in dogs' urine and also in many other mammals. Female rabbits and some other mammals release a scent that tells their young ones that they are ready to nurse. This scent then causes their young to immediately begin nursing. This is about the releaser pheromones. And coming to the primer pheromones, primer pheromones take longer to get a response. They can influence the development or reproduction physiology, including menstrual cycles in females, puberty, and success or failure of the pregnancy. They can alter hormone levels. In some mammals, scientists found that females who had become pregnant and were exposed to the primer pheromones from another male could spontaneously abort the fetus. It is believed that mammals detect pheromones through an organ in the nose called as the VNO, that is the vomeronasal organ, or it is usually called as the Jacobson's organs, and it is connected to the hypothalamus. Here we are observing the vomeronasal organ, and this vomeronasal organ in humans consists of just pits that probably do not do anything. Interestingly, the vomeronasal organ is clearly present in the fetus but get degenerated before the birth. It undergoes atrophy. If humans do respond to hormones, most likely they use their normal olfactory system, not the vomeronasal organ. And coming to the third kind of pheromones, they are the signal pheromones. They are called as the signal pheromones. Signal pheromones cause short-term changes such as the neurotransmitter release that activates a response. For example, GnRH hormone functions as a neurotransmitter in rats to elicit lordosis behavior. What is the lordosis behavior is during the sexual intercourse, the animals bent backward for the sexual receptivity. So this is the hypothalamus that releases the GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin releasing hormone that activates the pituitary gland, and In the females, it releases FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, where in the case of males, that releases the LH. That goes for the that were very very useful for the gametogenesis in the both males and the females. These are the signal pheromones. Then coming to the fourth one, they are the alarm pheromones. Some species they release volatile substance when attacked by a predator that can trigger flight or aggression in members of the same species. Many alarm pheromones provide fight or flight in receivers and appear to be evolved from the compounds released during the fighting or injured co-species. For example, if you see the Vespula squamosa, they use alarm pheromones. Vespula squamosa use alarm pheromones to alert others to a threat. Whereas in the case of Polistes exclamans, alarm pheromones are also used as an alert to incoming predators. And honeybees also use alarm signals that are released via pheromones. Honeybees have the alarm signals that are released via pheromones. And coming to the fifth kind of pheromones, trail pheromones. Trail means path, way. Social insects that use the trail pheromones usually, for example, ants mark their path with the pheromones consisting of volatile hydrocarbons. Certain ants lay down an initial trail of pheromones as they return to the nest with food. This trail attracts other ants and serves as a guide. As long as the food source remains available, visiting ants will continuously renew the pheromone trail. The pheromone requires continuous renewal because it evaporates quickly. When the food supply begins to dwindle, the trail making ceases. At least one species of ant trail that no longer lead to food are also marked with a repellent pheromone. For example, the Eciton burchellii species, they provides an example of using pheromones to mark and maintain the foraging paths. When species of wasps such as Polybia sericea found new nests, they use pheromones to lead the rest of the colony to the new nesting site. And coming to the last kind of pheromones, they are the modulator pheromones. They can either alter or synchronize the bodily functions. Usually found in sweat, we are observing the sweat in the background of the slide. Usually modulator pheromones are found in sweat. In animal experiments, scientists found that when the modulator pheromones, when they are placed on upper lip of the females, they became less tense and they are more relaxed. And modulator hormones, they may also affect a female's monthly cycle. And coming to the recent research into pheromones, usually lesbians react differently to A and D. It is a progesterone derivative chemically called as a 4-16 androstenedione 3-1. So lesbians react differently to A and D compared with the heterosexual women. And A and D is 10 times more abundant in male human sweat than the female human sweat. Here there is another contender for the role of human pheromone is the androstenedione. Androstenedione, there is some evidence that androstenedione, a component of male sweat, increase attraction, affects mood and cortisol levels, and activates brain areas linked to social cognition. One study found that androstenedione increased cooperative behavior in the males. And another chemical, that is the androsterone, secreted only by males, has also been tested for its potential role as the pheromone. According to some studies, androsterone increases a woman's mood, especially if she is presented with it close to the time of ovulation. And this is the structure of the androsterone. This is all about the pheromones, types, functions, and the research, recent research in regard to the pheromones. Thank you one and all. For more videos, please watch and subscribe my YouTube channel, that is Swami Zoology. Thank you.